Alright, so let's talk about some half-life decay. So we have Triton has a half-life of 12.5 years. If you start with 40 grams, how much will be left after 25 years, 50 years, and 75 years? So when we're talking about half-life, you got to think you have an amount of something. And here we have 40 grams. So we can represent that 40 grams with just a circle. And what a half-life is, every time you go through a half-life, you're taking whatever you have and cutting it in half. So this first half-life, so at 12.5 years, we started with a full circle at the beginning, and then after 12.5 years, we cut this in half. So this shaded part here is gone. So all we have left is this part. So another 12.5 years go by. So that would put us at 25 years. We cut this in half now, and this part is gone. So we have half of a half. So at 25 years, we started with 40 grams. We cut it in half to 20. And then we cut that half again to 10. So after 25 years, we have 10 grams. And so some people think, well, if you get 10 grams after 25 years, in 50 years that's twice as long, so you're just going to have half as much. Well, that's not exactly true, because you have to keep taking half-lives. So if we go another half, so that'd be 25 years plus another 12.5 to get to the next half-life. You're cutting that 10 into 5. So you're at 37.5 years. Then I'm cutting this again in half. So this is gone. So this is 2.5. So at 50 years, we have gone from 40 grams to only 2.5 grams of Triton left. Well, to get to 75 years, we're going to have to keep cutting that 2.5 in half again, which we can do. So we cut the 2.5 in half. I'm going to bring it out to the side here and enlarge it a little bit. So we're starting with 2.5. We cut it in half again. So this part's gone. So we're at 1.25. So that takes us to 62.5 years. So we have to cut it in half one more time. And so 1.25 cut in half is going to be 625 thousandths. So after 75 years, we have less than a gram left. We have 625 thousandths of a gram. Alright, so now all we did there was keep dividing by 2, dividing by 2, dividing by 2. And so the first time we divided by 2 twice, the second one we had to do it 4 times, and the third one we had to do it 6 times. So there's actually an easier way to do this other than dividing by 2 6 times in a row. So if you think about this, we started with our original 40 grams and we divided it by 2. Well, how many times did we divide by 2 to get to our 75 years here? And the answer there was 6. There's 6 12.5 year periods in 75 years. So if I take this 2 and I make it to the power of 6, that accounts for my 6 half-lives that worth of time. So if I work this out, 2 to the 6th is going to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So you work that out. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32, times 2 is 64. So we can rewrite this as 40 over 64. So we can start dividing here, but before we divide, we can also simplify the fraction. So you can divide both those by 4 to start. 4 goes into 40 10 times. And 4 goes into 64 16 times. So we could reduce that to 10 over 16, reduce that again by 2, which would be 5/8. And if we work out 5 divided by 8, we are going to get our decimal of 625 thousandths. Hopefully you remember how to do that from your math class. So that is how you find half-lives and deal with radioactive decay.